Chapter 8 The World That Never Was. Sora had arrived. Wait, isn't this... He looked up at a very familiar building, where neon signs lit the pitch-black sky. This was the world that never was, the headquarters of the organization. Something was different about it, though. Sora wasn't sure what, but it didn't feel the same. This world shouldn't have been trapped in sleep. He counted the doors of sleep he had opened on his fingers. The first was in Destiny Islands, in Traverse Town, another in La Cité des Cloches with Quasimodo, Prankster's Paradise and Pinocchio. Then there was the Grid with Kevin and Tron, the Country of Musketeers with Mickey and the gang, and finally, the Symphony of Sorcery with another Mickey. That made 7, so the exam should be over, and he should be back with Yen Sid. Maybe there's one final test here? Aw, what's the matter, sleepyhead? At the voice from nowhere, Sora got his Keyblade ready. Who's there? Show yourself! He'd heard this voice before. Xigbar. Didn't I destroy him? We jumped through a lot of hoops to get you here, but it looks as if it's gonna pay off. Sora leaped to the side as a piercing bolt of red light shot out at him. Then he followed its trajectory up to the top of a tall building to see that he'd been right about the voice. Xigbar jumped down to the ground with an ugly sneer. You're part of this? Hey, let's hit these plot points in order. Sora, Roxas. Xigbar spread his hands theatrically and launched into his explanation. First, you must be wondering about your revised itinerary. Why am I here, not back home? The answer's simple. We brought you to this place, hijacked your little slumber party before it started. Sora thought back to the moment he had fallen asleep. They defeated Ursula at the Destiny Islands and fallen into the stormy sea. And ever since, we've been both your companions and your constant guides. A hazy recollection was coming back to the surface, an image of someone in a brown robe with them in the water. Sora also remembered how he kept bumping into the silver-haired youth and Xemnas everywhere he went. Before it started, and so that guy in the black coat, and Xemnas. Bingo! Xigbar stated with another smirk, pointing at Sora. You were able to go back in time to just before your home became a sleeping world only because a past version of you already existed there. And I can see in the past you already met Mr. Robe Guy. Yup, he was there to make sure you ended up here now. Xigbar slowly walked towards Sora. That's ridiculous, Sora yelled. That shouldn't be possible. I met him in the past. Where? I do remember meeting some guy in brown robes way back before this exam, before I left the islands for the first time. What did he tell me again? This world has been connected. What else? One who knows nothing can understand nothing. That guy, who was he? It sure is. It's too perfect. Who'd ever believe it? Which is why you idiots never saw it coming. You're telling me this moment was decided before I ever left home? No way. You thought you were off doing some kind of test, right? Xigbar said, walking around with grandiose, affected gestures. Well, test this. How come you're wearing the same clothes if you're already back home? You are not gonna wake up, okay? Look, there's no real versus dreams anymore. There's just you, us, and this. When he was done, Sora stared intensely at his back. I see, fair enough. So what? At least I know who to blame for it. He summoned his Keyblade and gave Xigbar a glare. Oh, I see you've still got that angry look down. But here's where I tag out. I got a few more hoops I gotta jump through. Xigbar popped his neck irritably, vanished, and reappeared in midair to fire his arrow guns at Sora. A total of 12 arrows hit the ground around him, each one transforming into someone in a black coat. The final arrow, directly in front of Sora, turned into the silver-haired boy he had encountered so many times during this journey. Come with me. The young man held out his hand to Sora. It reminded him so much of the way Riku had reached out to Sora that fateful day when they set out from the Destiny Islands. After a moment, Sora could sense his vision blurring. Ugh, what? His head was so heavy. He was swaying. What in the world? Pleasant dreams, kiddo, Xigbar said to him gently. Sora then fell into a deep sleep. He could hear the waves rushing to the shore. The sun was blindingly bright, so bright that it woke Sora up. These were the Destiny Islands, his home. The silver-haired young man was standing at the edge of the water, but he seemed a little different. Mostly his clothes. The young man was approached by a man in a brown robe.
Yes, this was where it started.
Sora suddenly heard a voice next to him, and he looked toward the one who had spoken. It was the young man with silver hair again, this time sitting on the sand.
At this point, I still had no idea that I was talking to myself. He cast away his bodily form just to set me on the appointed path.
What do you mean? Sora asked back. At this point, I was asking to myself, so the guy standing over there is the same guy sitting here next to me. And the robe guy is going over there to talk to himself too? Is it all the same person? I don't get it.
That is just Xehanort reduced to just a heart. The being you and your friends called Ansem.
Sora raised his head to find the man in the brown robe right in front of him. He jumped, startled, and then his mind fell back into sleep. When he came to, it was night on the Destiny Islands. The man in the brown robe was entering the secret place, and another Sora, the Sora whose journey was about to begin, was following him into the cave. Present-day Sora had no idea what was going on anymore.
Yes, said the youth with silver hair. This is the point in time that Xigbar mentioned.
Sora thought about what Xigbar had said. Was that me from right before this world was consumed by darkness?
To move through time, you must leave your body behind. Ansem first sent me on my way, and then placed himself here when the time was right. That is what set all these events in motion.
So what are you saying? That he knew everything that would happen? Sora asked again. It was all predetermined? My journey and his?
No, not everything.
A young man shook his head.
But remember, Ansem possessed Riku and saw his experiences in real time.
So? That could only tell him so much. How did he know I would be here today?
Simple.
Just then, there was a boom from the cave so loud it shook the world around them. Sora watched. Kairi's body was hurled out of the entrance. Kairi! He immediately opened his arms to catch her, but she passed right through him. Sora then fell into another deep sleep. This time, he woke up in Traverse Town. This was where it all started, and he'd been here so many times since. Overhead, the sky was filled with twinkling stars, but one of them suddenly blinked out, and he could see several copies of himself drifting down from the sky. Wait, am I one of the ones falling too? He couldn't even tell that. It really was like being inside a dream. Sora slowly landed on the ground. He saw versions of himself walking all over town. He was wearing the same clothes as when he first set out on his travels. He walked, ran, fought, fell, and then...
You've been here many times. Your first journey, your voyage through memories, in the datascape, in your dreams, relived again and again, like deja vu, remarked the boy with silver hair, who was suddenly standing next to him. Just then, the king, Mickey, ran down the steps leading to the 2nd district and headed for the 3rd district. Shortly after, Donald and Goofy walked right through Sora's body, looking up at the sky and talking about something as they made their way toward the 2nd district. Pluto was following along behind them. Donald! Goofy! Sora started after them almost on instinct. When he did, Pluto came bounding from an alley and passed through Sora yet again, this time headed for the 3rd district. Pluto! Sora chased after the dog, but he couldn't catch him. Sora!
Instead, he collapsed into unconsciousness. When he woke up again... Huh? Am I back? Yes, this was the world that never was, where he'd run into Xigbar and fallen asleep. The king, Donald, and Goofy ran by in front of him. Wait, Your Majesty! Donald! Goofy! Sora reached out and called to them, but the trio ran off without even looking back. Sora impulsively went after them, until a girl with golden hair and a white dress materialized in his path. Naminé, is that you? It was her, Kairi's nobody, and the witch who controlled memories, Naminé. She lowered her gaze, and then a ghost of a smile crossed her lips as she started to run away. Wait, Naminé! Sora hurried over to her and caught her hand. I've got a message for you. I meant to tell you once this was all over. As she looked back, though, she changed into a girl he had never seen. She had black hair and looked a lot like Naminé. A lot like Kairi, actually. She wore one of the organization's black coats. Huh? Who are you? He asked, and as he did, his chest began to ache. He could feel a tear running down his cheek. Huh? Why am I... He touched the tear on his face. Why am I crying? This happened once before, too. Back when I first left Twilight Town. I saw the sunset from the train after I said goodbye to Hainer and Pence and Olette. And I got really sad. Is this the same thing? As he wondered to himself, the girl put up the hood of her black coat, shook off Sora's hand, and started to run. Hey, wait! The girl didn't stop, though. She was going to get away at this rate, but he couldn't keep up. His head weighed a ton. He was getting dizzy. No, he had to. He had to catch her. He started running. He could sense something sinister in the air of the city. Meow Wow was by his side, but he couldn't remember whether the spirit had been with him before this or not. He couldn't even tell which way was up, whether he was running on top of the buildings, under the buildings, or even on the walls. Is it just me, or is the whole world warping? His head was so heavy. Everything was heavy. Meow. Meow Wow rubbed against Sora's legs. Even that felt wrong. He couldn't tell if this was a dream or reality anymore. Sora took another step. Where was he now? Someone in a black coat was standing in front of him, facing away. It was that girl. Sora called out to her. Come on, wait up! Who are you? She looked back and removed her hood to reveal someone else. You're Roxas, Sora said. A boy with golden hair. My nobody. Roxas smiled quietly at Sora. How can you be here? Am I dreaming? Roxas shook his head, still saying nothing. Come on, say something. His smile vanished. This could have been the other way around. Huh? But it really has to be you, Roxas continued. What do you mean? If it had to be me and not him, then... There are so many hearts that are connected to yours. You're me, so you can feel what I felt. I don't think that's right. Sora shook his head. No, Roxas, you're you. We're not the same. I wanted to tell you that you deserve as much as I do to be your own person. I've been wondering since the beginning. He's not me at all. So why can't he exist outside of me? Roxas's smile returned a bit. Sora, see? He said, that's why it has to be you. The nobody gripped Sora tightly by both hands. In that moment, a wave of thoughts flowed into Sora. Is this sorrow? It's awful. My chest is aching. What do I... Roxas was gone. He had vanished and left only his sadness. Not again. Did they cause all this pain? What are you trying to show me? What do you want me to see? Sora screamed. The sound faded into the hollow city. Sora, don't chase the dreams. They'll lead you nowhere. Just to an endless abyss you'll never be able to wake up from. But Sora didn't hear the voice. He was completely alone. He looked at the path ahead of him. What's waiting for me up there? I have no choice but to go, though. As he came out of his thoughts, he realized Meow Wow was beside him again. I'm gonna keep going. Sora took a step. I don't care what's up there. I'm going. He proceeded between some bizarre buildings. Ahead on the path were Riku and Kairi. Riku! Kairi! I found you! Sora ran to them, but as the two of them turned around, they became strangely distorted. Huh? The pair shifted into two people he didn't know. Riku became a tall man with brown hair, and Kairi was a blue-haired woman. Who? The two of them looked at him wordlessly, then smiled. Ven, said the man. Ven, said the woman. He didn't know that name. Ven? Who's that? They reached out to him, and Sora reached back. He had to take their hands, but the two of them distorted again as they turned away from him. As they started to leave him behind, they reverted back to Riku and Kairi. Sora tried to go after them, but he could barely move. Something was weighing him down. He didn't know if it was his own body or the air itself. What's going on? Sora, don't! You've got to wake up! Sora! Sora felt like he heard someone calling. That voice. He got the sense that it had been calling to him this entire time. And then the two he was trying to catch changed from Riku and Kairi back to that pair he didn't know. Everything was twisting and distorting. I'm running and running, but I just can't reach them. What is this place? A brilliant light burst forth in front of him. Wait! The light swelled until it was all he could see. And then he was on the Destiny Islands again. He could hear the familiar waves. The sun was setting, and a young Sora and Riku ran by. Yeah, Riku and I always used to play tag on the beach. ever since we were kids. He remembered that, and yet, the blue-haired woman that Kairi had turned into a moment ago smiled at his childhood self and at Riku's. I don't know her, don't remember her. My chest is aching again. And again, everything was warping. Someone was standing on the shore. Is that Ansem? Just then, a swift, sudden sleep overtook him. Sora's knees buckled and hit the ground, as if he had dropped from the sky. Oops-a-daisy! Wasn't easy putting you into a second sleep, and he almost woke you up. That voice belonged to Xigbar. Sora fought to keep from gasping against the pain in his chest. It was so hard to breathe. So then, all that stuff I just saw, did you put that in my head? Sora struggled to his feet and glared at Xigbar. No. Xigbar shrugged. That wasn't stuff, it was a dream. The falling asleep part was definitely our bad, but we can't put stuff in your head. Hey, I got an idea. Ask your heart, see if it's got a clue. Well, my heart was aching. That's why I kept going. It was almost too much to bear, the sorrow, the pain, and so many other feelings, a suffering so much greater than anything he'd ever known. Hatred, sadness, anger, jealousy, fear, resentment, anguish, envy, uncertainty, pain, despair. Who did these feelings come from? Roxas? That woman? Those two people called me Ven. Maybe him? Or someone else? Oh, thank you, Sora's heart, for pushing him right into our clutches. Aren't hearts great? Steer us wrong every time, Xigbar remarked, mocking as ever. Hearts? Steer us wrong? Is that really true? Actually, there's something else I've been wondering for a while now. You know, right? Because you all have hearts, Sora said, testing Xigbar. Axel and Roxas and Naminé, and that other girl. I felt what Roxas felt, and they laughed together, got mad, and they grieved. The ache in his heart belonged to everyone. You have to have a heart to cry. Xigbar snorted derisively. It's about time you noticed. A corridor of darkness opened behind Sora, and Xemnas emerged.
Indeed, a heart is never lost for good. There may have been variances in our dispositions, but a number of us unquestionably showed signs of a burgeoning replacement.
A burgeoning replacement.
Once born, the heart can also be nurtured. Our experiments creating Heartless were attempts to control the mind and convince it to renounce its sense of self. But understand, one can banish the heart from the body, but the body will try to replace it the first chance it gets, for as many times as it takes. And so I knew, even after we were divided into Heartless and Nobodies, it was just a temporary separation.
And the Nobodies who had regained a heart had suffered, Roxas and Axel. They couldn't be the only ones, so then why? Why then? Why did you lie to them and tell them they had no hearts? Sora shouted accusingly at Xemnas. They went through all that pain, all that grief, because they believed they had no hearts. They thought they weren't even human. That's why they hurt so much, why they were so sad. Xemnas and Xehanort formed the organization for a specific reason. Hook them up to Kingdom Hearts, then fill them all with the exact same heart and mind. Xigbar explained behind him. Sora turned around. Empty husks? Is he saying they're going to break them with sorrow and put another heart into them? Or did they already do it? Translation, they were going to turn all the members into Xehanort. Make more Xehanorts? You're hollowing out people's hearts to put Xehanorts inside them? You tricked your friends too, but aren't you scared of just turning into someone else? He asked. One corner of Xigbar's mouth twitched up in a sneer. Me? I'm already half Xehanort. That's nuts! Xigbar's golden eye regarded Sora. It doesn't make sense. What does he think he can do by throwing away his own heart and becoming Xehanort? I don't get it. And what is Xehanort after? Why is he putting his heart in other people?
However, through weakness of body, weakness of will, or weakness of trust, most of the original members we had chosen for the organization were inadequate. Thus, naturally, they never had a chance to attain their goal. Yet, even this was to be expected. We have learned of the heart's folly, and we have achieved our other goals. This last excursion has proven to be a worthy closing assignment for the organization,
Xemnas proclaimed calmly.
Just stop it! You treat other people's hearts like they're bottles on a shelf, but they're not.
Hearts aren't foolish, and other people aren't tools for you to use. Sora faced Xemnas and summoned his Keyblade, ready to fight. Hearts are made of the people we meet and how we feel about them. They're what ties us together, even when we're apart. They're what make me strong. However, Xigbar laughed and pointed at Sora.
Duh!
Sora looked back at him.
You're strong because of the ties you have with other people, as if the Keyblade would choose a wimp like you. But no pouting. We see much bigger and better things in your future, once you side with us.
Sora's eyes shifted to his Keyblade, and he gripped it tighter. I know the Keyblade didn't choose me, and I don't care. I'm proud to be a small part of something bigger, the people it did choose. By now, this Keyblade has connected me to so many people. Riku, Kairi, and the King, Donald and Goofy, Roxas, and all of the friends of the ones who aren't me. My friends, they are my power. My power comes from the hearts connected to mine, from our feelings and our memories, even the ones that hurt.
Those are just words.
You've lost, Xigbar sputtered, sensing a powerful force behind Sora.
Ugh, fine. See where your power gets you here. Xemnas, he's all yours.
With that, Xigbar slipped away into a corridor of darkness. Xemnas spread his arms and raised them toward the sky, drawing in the nearby buildings to gather behind himself with a terrifying power. The towering structures came tumbling down at Sora's feet, but Sora held off the impact and blast wave with his Keyblade, then glared angrily at the organization's leader.
As your flesh bears the sigil,
Xemnas intoned,
so your name shall be known as that of a recusant.
A sigil of a recusant? What's that? No time to worry about that now. Xemnas closed the distance between them in a flash, but Sora blocked the attack. Like in their first battle, Xemnas wielded swords made of red light in both hands, ethereal blades. Sora knocked them away and tried to counterattack, but before he could land a hit, darkness enshrouded Xemnas' form and carried him to another part of the battlefield.
Is that the best your heart can do?
I'm not done yet. I'm not gonna lose. No way. Not with everyone else behind me. Meow returned to Sora's side and bounced around him, healing him bit by bit. See? I've even got this little guy. He's been by my side the whole time. Sora launched himself straight at Xemnas' chest and swung upward with his Keyblade.
Fool!
Xemnas leaped back, giving Sora some breathing room, or so he thought, before his foe took control of the buildings again, floating them over and dropping them down on him. Meow! Sora hopped onto the Dream Eater and bounded between the falling buildings toward Xemnas where he hovered in midair. Sorry. Sora stood on Meow's back and jumped even higher into the air, then brought his Keyblade down on Xemnas from above. Xemnas caught the blow with his ethereal blades, and Sora was almost knocked away. No, I'll be okay. I won't lose, no matter what. Not even if my own strength gives out. You can't stop me. As long as my friends are with me, I'll never lose. The two of them plummeted to the ground head first and landed hard, but soon after, Keyblade connected with ethereal blades once more. It was time for the final blow. Sora poured all his strength into the hand gripping his Keyblade. That's my power! He knocked the ethereal blades up and out of the way, then hammered the Keyblade into Xemnas' chest. His opponent flew into the air and the darkness took him, but Sora was also at his limit. He toppled backward, limbs splayed. He ached all over, and every breath was a struggle. But he beat him. He fought to get his breathing under control. He was exhausted. That was when the silver-haired young man appeared before Sora. You, again. Sora, still prone and out of breath, looked at the young man.
You just make it too easy. I know you think you've won, but you lost the moment you dived this far in. You're in the deepest pit of slumber. And you've worn yourself down to nothing. There's no returning to the world above.
What do you mean? I don't know what he's saying. I'm just so tired. Sora could see a strange black smoke rising from his body. What's happening? I'm trying to stand up, but my body is too heavy.
We told you, it was not the sleeping keyholes that guided you. They are not the reason you are here. You've been on a path, one we laid out for you.
He pointed at Sora's chest.
That sigil on your chest is the proof.
What? Sora looked down at his torso. He thought the new outfit came from Yen Sid, but the man was right. The X was there on his chest. The youth with silver hair slowly drew an X in the air.
See? That sigil, the X, tells us where you are at all times. You had wondered aloud before why we kept showing up where you were. It's because we need you, Sora.
I'm just so tired.
Or to be precise, we need what will be left of you, the 13th Dark Vessel.
Why? Everything was warping and twisting. The man bent and blurred in his vision.
Why was it assured you would come here today? Because I followed my destined path, and I'm here looking at you right now. You can move through time, but time itself is immovable. Today, all my selves throughout time were meant to gather here and to welcome you, Sora, as our 13th member. These facts cannot be changed.
The young man knelt down beside Sora and leaned in closer to his face. What's gonna happen? I don't even have the strength to move. I'm tired. I'm so tired. It's all I can do to keep him in focus. I can barely even keep my eyes open.
I have now told you all that I know. We are all here, and what the future holds in store is beyond my sight. I will return to my own time and grow into the man who becomes all these others. While I know this future now that I have lived it, returning to my own time will erase the memories and experience I have gained here. Still, my appointed path is now etched in my heart, which will first lead me to seek the outside world.
Sora could sense darkness enveloping his body. What's happening to me? Am I falling into darkness? Again? Riku. Finally, Sora called out to his dear friend. Riku had always come to save him. One more time, Riku. I'm sorry, Riku.
Your heart will sleep forever in the folds of darkness, and your body will be another vessel for me. So light gives way to darkness. Good night, Sora.
The darkness crept in at the corners of his vision until it finally swallowed him completely. Sora was descending into the depths of a profound darkness, and yet a light quietly drew near, gentle and kind. It was a piece of someone's heart, of the heart sleeping within Sora. Vanitas. The light shone out into the darkness, illuminating Sora and bursting free from the gloom, dragging him down into its depths. It became armor that encased his body. Everything is born from sleep, and from that sleep, it longs to wake. And Sora slept on. End of Sora's Side.